In what ways does your media product use, develop, or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? I think that my film challenges and develops forms and conventions of real media products. Firstly, the title of my film, Snag, as the short, sharp word portrays the film's plot and storyline and really sums up the idea of my film to the audience. A bit like the films Taken, starring Liam Neeson, and Wanted, starring James McAvoy and Angelina Jolie. Secondly, the location of my film. A dark, lonely wood has also been the location of many real media products. After researching a few films with a similar genre to my own, I discovered that the films Shrooms, starring Alice Gretchen and Robert Hoffman, and The Blair Witch Project, starring Heather Donahue, Michael Williams and Joshua Leonard, are all set in the woods. Although these films do not follow some of the storyline of my own, they all portray the same scary, isolated atmosphere. I do not include any props in my film opening. This does not challenge forms and conventions of real media products, as most thriller films such as Seven, starring Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, contain weapons, mobile phones or any other kind of technology. Contrasting to this, I believe costumes I used in my film opening do not challenge forms and conventions of real media products, as the clothes I chose for my actors to wear are everyday, casual clothes. I got my inspiration from the film Flight Plan, starring Jodie Foster and Marlene Lawson, because the young girl that goes missing is wearing a black and white casual clothes. During the opening of my film, I used a range of long shots, medium close-up shots and establishing shots using a tripod. I also used a range of cameras such as a Canon EOS 5D MKII and a Canon EOS 7D, and a range of lenses such as the EF 17 to 40mm f4 lens, the EF 35mm lens f2 and the EF 40mm lens f2.8 to suit the shot I wanted to film. I do not think this challenges conventions of real media products, as during my research I discovered that the majority of shots I used included medium close-ups and establishing shots, for example in the opening sequence of I Am Legend starring Will Smith, although I do not think that this challenges conventions of real media products. I believe my media product camera work develops from forms of real media products because I think that my footage from inside the bush, from the kidnapper's point of view, looks shaky and as if a person is watching the main character. This portrays a sense of tension and mystery to the viewer, for example in the film Shrooms. While editing my film, I used my footage to create jump shots to portray the speed that the boy is looking for his sister. I was inspired to do this after watching the film Primeval, as Gabrielle Wire, the editor of this, used jump shots as the main character was climbing onto the wire from the tree. I also used voiceover and Soundtrack Pro in my film to enhance the plot and make it more clear to the storyline via audio. I do not think this use of editing challenges forms or conventions of real media products, as I was inspired to use these effects after researching a variety of films. I think the font size of my text used in the titles, cast list, and the editing of them develops forms of real media products, as I used a fading tool that was able to blur the text. I chose a font size of the text because I researched many action/thriller films with a similar storyline to my own and decided that these fonts really brought out the tension and anxiety the plot contains. For example, in the film Disturbia, the font brings out the fear in the storyline. I think my film opening really highlights the thriller genre with the use of indirect camera angles, sharp fonts, sounds and music that build tension, and also my actors and my mysterious location. How does your media product represent particular social groups? In order to see how my character represents in a particular social group, I had to research characters from similar films and roles to compare them to characters in my own film. One of the main characters in my film, Hannah, that goes missing, in my opinion has very similar qualities to that of Dakota Fanning and Marlene Lawson from Man on Fire and Flight Plan, as they too have been taken, or appear to have been taken, and the tension builds as the storyline goes on. The main character, the brother of Hannah, has similarities to that of Liam Neeson from Taken, as he will do anything to find and rescue a loved one. What kind of media institution might distribute your media product and why? My production company is called Chater Studios. My film, being a thriller genre, is a film that would be distributed by a production company which would make films similar to that of my film genre, for example Universal. which has distributed films such as Snow White and the Huntsman, starring Kristen Stewart, and also the Bourne trilogy. And due to my film having similar traits and a similar genre, I think that they would be suitable for the same. This is someone who I think would match my target audience. So tell me a bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Fran, I'm 17. I study photography, media, English and history at Jersey College for Girls. I love horse riding and I've got a part-time job at Jersey Electricity Company.
Okay, what genre of music do you like to listen to?
I like music that's really like chilled out. I really like Foles, Bastille, Alt J and Ben Howard.
And what sort of clothes do you like to wear on a day-to-day basis, and where do you buy these from?
I like wearing quite casual clothes like leggings, jumpers and jackets with my Nike blazers because they're quite fashionable and comfy. So like shops like Topshop and Urban Outfitters.
Okay, and what TV shows or films do you like to watch and why?
I love EastEnders because there's always a cliffhanger, and I like a lot of movies, but I love thrillers because you never know how they're going to end, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat. My favourite film is Inception or I Am Legend.
Okay. If a full-length version of my film was to be released, would you be interested in watching it and why?
I definitely would, because I think that your opening scene drew me in, as no one really knows what happened to Hannah. This makes me want to watch it so that I can discover where she truly is. I also love the way your opening scene ended on a cliffhanger, and I want to know if Hannah's found, because I hope she is, because I like happy endings.
What would you expect to see in a thriller genre film?
Spooky locations and a scary atmosphere, because I like being on the edge of my seat. I'd also expect to see weapons and a variety of characters.
Okay, do you think my film meets these expectations?
Yeah, I do actually. I think your film contains a mysterious, like scary atmosphere. I also love the way you include a child that adds like a bit of vulnerability to the film.
Okay, thank you very much. What have you learned about technologies from the process of constructing this product? I have used a variety of software, cameras, lenses and programs to help me film my final product. In order to film my film opening, I used a Canon 5D MKII and a Canon 7D. I feel that I can now use these cameras to their full potential, as I now know how everything works. I have also learned key features about the camera and learned how to change things such as the aperture, allowing a variety of light entering the lens, which was really helpful on my location as the woods became very dark and shadowed at times. During filming, I also used a variety of lenses: the 17 to 40mm lens, the 35mm lens and a 40mm lens. This made a suitable composition and angle for the different types of shots I wanted to film. For example, for my establishing shots I used a 17 to 40mm lens, as it results in a wider image. I also have a lot of large depth of field shots, which I used the 40mm lens for, because it allowed me to capture this shot. This is a new lens from Canon that has newly introduced stepper motor, which allows for a quieter focusing whilst filming, opposed to the old ultrasonic motor. To create my final product, I also used the program Soundtrack Pro to help me create some good sound effects, Final Cut Pro to allow me to edit my film, and also After Effects to allow me to add titles to my film. I feel I am now very comfortable and confident using these programs, as at the start of the course I had never used them before. I also used the program Cinema 4D and a plugin called Transform to create my production company ident. Looking back at your preliminary task, what do you feel you have learned in the progression from it to the full product? Looking back at my preliminary task, I realised that I have learned a lot since I first made it. I have learned how to use different softwares and also learned what is expected of films of my final product's quality due to research and planning. Final Cut Pro is a similar software used to edit both my preliminary task and my final product. I feel I am more familiar with the program and its uses and qualities. I've expanded my knowledge and skills, and as I had never used that software before making my preliminary. Between producing my preliminary and then producing my final film, I feel that I have learned how to properly use the camera I used to film both on. I can now perfect the aperture and ISO levels, as well as decide the lighting arrangement and basic camera functions. I also have a better understanding of editing and figure placement in the shot's composition. The movement of my actors in both my preliminary and my final film was portrayed better when including different camera angles and apertures.